Hey, hello, and welcome to Birth Your Vision podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm super excited to welcome you today to another episode of Birth Your Vision podcast live. And I'm your host, Hannah Kupuli. It's good to have you here. If you are joining us for the first time, welcome. And please introduce yourself and tell me exactly where you are watching us from. So, thank you so much for joining us today. For those of you who are actually meeting me for the first time, I am the founder of Birth Your Vision Podcast Live and also the founder of the All Women's Network, powerful platform that actually helps aspiring entrepreneurs to start and grow their business. And I help aspiring female entrepreneurs who struggle with self doubt to gain clarity in actually starting the business and birthing their visions and turning it into reality. I am also a multi award winning entrepreneur. I'm a coach, I'm a mentor, a podcaster, and a transformational speaker. And so I'm super excited to have you here today. It's a real pleasure. And so every week I will be coming with amazing guests to interview them. And these are wonderful business experts who have amazing knowledge in helping you to grow your business and also giving you the tips, the strategies, and also motivating you as well. So, the Birth Your Vision podcast is really about supporting women in business and as well as aspiring female entrepreneurs to get them to start their business and also give them inspiration, advice, support, and also tips in terms of growing their business and their brand, and also for them to be very visible. And we also welcome men also on our platform as well. So you are all welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Please leave your comment below. Let me know where you are watching us from today. I am so excited. I have an amazing guest. She is the beautiful Lisa Hanley, and she is actually a journalist. She's going to be sharing lots of amazing information today, and I'm super excited to welcome her. Tell me how you are doing and how has your day been today? It would be really nice to really get to know how your day is going and how is lockdown going for you as well. So share all that information below. So I'm going to be introducing my guest. She's going to be coming on very shortly. So, put your hands together for her and also leave some great comments and welcome her as I'm going to be welcoming her to join us today. So, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining. It's a real pleasure to have you. So, welcome my beautiful guest, Lisa Hanley.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? How are you doing? You look amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. So do you.
Thank you so much. It's a real pleasure to have you here on the Birth Your Vision podcast live. I'm super excited, and I've been sort of anticipating this moment because I know that we've actually connected sort of like a few months ago, and I was saying to you that we're going to kickstart the season 3 of Birth Your Vision podcast, and I'm super excited that you are the first guest I'm having on the season 3 Birth Your Vision podcast. So thank you so much for coming today. It's a real honor and a pleasure to have you here today. And I really just want to just introduce you to my amazing viewers who are watching you right now so that they could have a background of who you are and exactly what you do. And here we go. So Lisa Hanley is a freelance journalist and a producer working in London, and she's actually the creator and investigative. She's actually the creator, and also she does the podcast investigative series. She's really amazing at doing this. And also, she's also very, very much into the podcast, and she's actually gone into the third audio episode. And it's really amazing. She's going to be sharing lots of information about that. She's also a producer as well. She has actually produced a short film for Thomas Reuters Foundation on BME mental health and the impact of the viral police shootings, which has actually happened recently across the world, really, to be honest. And she's also an advocate for mental health and also, having a parent who has actually died and as a result of having a very serious mental health, she's an advocate for that as well. She's now expanding a YouTube channel, and she'll be documenting her journey into media industry. And also recently, after finishing a master's in July, she'll be sharing her journey with us and also on YouTube channel. So, we have so much to cover today in terms of her journey in being a journalist, a producer. So just come on board, and I want you to just leave your questions below and share your thoughts, your ideas, and let's get the conversation started. So, welcome once again. It's a real pleasure to have you here, Lisa. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome. So, how was your day today, and how have you been?
Day today has been quite intense. Done a lot of research today. And yeah, I found out some great things, found out some not so great things, but it's all part of the job. But
Wow.
yeah, intense day.
I could imagine. I know I've had one of those days whereby there's so much going on and you just feel so overwhelmed. So, I could just imagine the way you're feeling. So,
Yeah.
really tell us about your journey, into becoming a journalist. How is that journey like?
Um, it's not been an easy journey. There's
Yeah.
not really like a plain like road to becoming a journalist. You think that there is, but it's not really. People find all different avenues to get into it. I did my undergrad in 2013, and I was writing for newspapers, and I was volunteering at radio stations, and I had
Mm,
a little internet radio still, and I was, really into going into the radio side and going into newspapers. And then I got into fashion journalism, and
right.
the fashion industry chewed me up and spat me out. It was quite a sharp shock because I thought I went to go into fashion, and then just didn't turn out very great. So I ended up veering off into events, and then when I came to London, I did my master's in journalism, and I started interning at magazines and PR companies. And then I got into broadcast, and just completely fell in love with it. Um,
Wow.
I just fell in love with creating and being able to tackle real life issues.
Mm,
So that was where my love for journalism started, and has just continued. So yeah, that's how I
that
got
is
into
just,
it.
yeah, that is just amazing. So, in terms of becoming a journalist, like you said, there's quite a lot of work that actually goes into it. Do you want to sort of break it down for us in terms of step by step? If someone was to actually say that they wanted to go into journalism, what are the steps that they should take? What is the roadmap into getting into such roles?
Well, it depends on what area of journalism you want to get into. If
Mm,
you want to get into newspapers or written journalism, you can go into the avenue of volunteering at a newspaper or a magazine or
right.
publishing house. A lot of the work at the start is going to be free. So you are going to be volunteering, you're going to be interning, and you're just going to have to be okay with um, getting the coffees for a bit, and sometimes
Hmm.
putting your little 2 cents in on editorial. But
Yeah.
you're going to have to work your way up there. You can't just go straight in and be putting your articles out. Um,
Mm,
the internet has completely opened up accessibility, though. So,
yes.
in this sense, you can actually create your own blog. You can start
Okay.
writing your own stuff, and create your own platform online, which is
Mm,
what most of us have been doing. And by that, you can get noticed by people that are within the industry for
yeah.
stuff that you are doing on your own.
Mm,
Um, there is apprenticeships, internships, and mentorships that you can get into through big organizations like BBC and Channel 4, and you
mm,
don't actually need a degree to do it. You just need to apply and be around looking for those jobs when they're actually there. ITV
right.
right now got so many jobs for people that don't have degrees. So if you don't want to go the university route, you can do that. And then obviously, if you are going into more like political journalism,
Mm,
investigative journalism, things
yeah.
like that, you need to have a very good idea of media law. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, you would need some kind of qualification for that. Um,
Right.
but that I've met people in the industry that have got degrees in history, degrees in performing arts, things that are
Mm,
not particularly um, generic
yeah.
journalism, but they can be applied. You can have like transferable skills. So yeah, there's so many different avenues now. Don't turn your nose down at YouTube or at anything like that. Creating your own videos if you want to
Mm,
get into presenting. So these are all kind of ways that you can build your platform or build yourself up to become a
yeah.
journalist
Mm.
without particularly going the university route.
Right. Okay. That's really good to know because this is like an easy route where people can actually do apprenticeship and work experience to
Mm.
really get them to the next level in terms of journalism. And also, taking them into the media route. Can you explain a little bit about sort of being in the media?
In what sense? Like what?
So maybe if somebody is interested in kind of, doing a publication or maybe a magazine or fashion or beauty, or even journalism, I guess. But you've already sort of covered that. But they want to kind of be in the media, be an influencer, for example, or
Mhm.
just be
Yeah.
part of TV, doing media fun things, that some form of experience in terms of media. How can they actually get in?
So if you want to do some form of television and you've got
Mm,
no qualifications or you've got no background in television, the best way to get experience or your confidence doing some form of broadcast is recording yourself and getting on
right.
YouTube.
Okay.
um, and building your following that way. That's the best
Mm,
way to do it without having to do some kind of formal education or investing your own money, even though if you are doing a YouTube channel, it would be good to make the channel look great. But
absolutely.
like to kind of build that experience of speaking to a camera
Mm,
and kind of getting your confidence doing that and creating content. YouTube is really, really great.
yeah.
Internet is just like a madhouse for people that are that are just taking the reins and completely just doing whatever they want with their careers. And
Absolutely.
it's great. Like it's building a platform for so many entrepreneurs. So I would say to do that for yourself first before you
Mm,
look for, a company or whatever, even though there is companies out there. But if you want to get your experience and build your confidence,
absolutely.
try the
Indeed. Yeah. And I think there's quite a lot of people now using YouTube as a platform. So today I'm also using YouTube to be able to kind of feature the podcast as well. So I think you are right. It's definitely a great platform to use to actually start with and grow your audience from there, which is really amazing. So tell me
Yeah.
more about, the freelancing producer job. Tell me, what do you do as a freelance producer?
Oh, as a freelance producer, it's not
Yeah.
as exciting as it sounds. It's literally like, I'm creating pictures all day. So creating ideas that are relevant to current times
Yeah.
and like current affair topics.
Hmm.
And then I pitch them to big media organizations for them to kind of commission so I can create some kind of video,
Yeah.
film, news article, or whatever it is. Um, right. Like earlier today, I just found out that I got commissioned for a podcast, which is great. But that's something that I'm doing that's separate from my podcast.
Right. Separate.
And
Mm,
that was an idea that I pitched last week. So yeah, it's just pitching all day and it's
mm,
gathering ideas, doing extensive research, trying to find ideas that are not the status quo, things that you don't always see in the news, things
yeah.
that, the little parts that are missing, which
Hmm.
there's always something that's missing. Um,
Absolutely.
but yeah, so it's finding that and creating that into a document so you can pitch that to bigger organizations and be like, please commission me and pick my work. So yeah, that's basically what I do all day, which is
Oh,
quite
wow.
fun.
And I know that you also do short movies as well. Can you tell us about the recent one that you've actually done?
Mhm. Yeah, so the film that I did with Thompson Writers Foundation was
Mhm.
a short documentary about the psychological impact that police brutality had on Black people's mental health, but
Yeah.
Black Britons specifically.
Mhm.
Um, and that came after the George Floyd shooting and just kind of the reaction from the Black British community
Yeah.
after seeing that footage. And I wanted to kind of figure out just kind of this idea that this is just a Black American thing. It
Mm.
wasn't really just a Black American thing because it affected Black people everywhere because
Absolutely. Yeah.
it was on social media, everybody saw it.
Mhm.
Um, and I wanted to look into how that was affecting them. And, after, instances with COVID and people being affected, Black people being affected by COVID, I just thought it was a very important topic to figure out, well, okay, then, they're already kind of impacted by this disproportionately. Police brutality is not something that is new to them.
Absolutely.
Black people everywhere. So it's like, well, obviously this must be affecting them mentally as well.
Mm.
Then I met some people that were in the UK that have been affected by um, police brutality, and I've actually had family members that die in police custody. And it's became an issue that wasn't just an American issue anymore. It was a UK issue because these cases were here too. And it was
Mhm.
like, well, what are we doing to help these families? The community that have, lost a friend, lost a neighbor. What are we doing to help these people that are going through this kind of mental trauma?
Mm.
And it just kind of became a project of its own, and I'm so glad that I did it because I got to kind of vocalize some issues that weren't really being spoken about.
Mm.
And it was definitely something that I wanted to do after, like, I've got family members that deal with mental health issues. My father had mental health issues. So I
Yeah.
really wanted to touch a topic that I understood very well. And yeah, it was definitely
Mm.
close to home.
Absolutely. I mean, just talking about mental health issue, how do you have a strong mental health while working as a producer, especially during the time of civil unrest? How was you able to kind of manage that?
Um, I'm I can't specifically say to you like this is what you should do, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but what I can say is when you are producing stuff that is so close to your own heart, so close to
Yeah.
your own house,
Mm.
and you are touching topics that are very, very heavy,
Yeah.
um, it is very good to have a very strong sense of self for one. So to know that,
Absolutely.
this story is a part of you and
Hmm.
you are attached to that story because you're meant to do that story.
Right.
So to be kind of at one with how you feel. And
Hmm.
for number two, to have a very strong household. Like, so wherever you are, have a very
Yeah.
strong sense of home. So
Hmm.
you've got somewhere to switch off. And you've got somewhere to kind of um, that's like a clear state of mind. Um,
Hmm.
it's sometimes when you're working for yourself, you can constantly just be thinking and working without even
Absolutely.
knowing.
Yeah.
And 7 days a week, you're just constantly thinking about your job, you
Yes,
know?
indeed. Yes. And also your family and all the other things that you're actually involved in. And it
Yeah,
gets a little bit too much, isn't it? And it's almost
it
like,
is.
where do you go for help and support? But there is help and support out there, but sometimes you have to be the one that actually want to reach out to people to be able to get the support. And especially during this period, it's been very, 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 very challenging for some people in terms of managing, the second lockdown,
Mhm.
mental health and well-being and not having family around and things like that. So I could just imagine the effect of how the impact of that is. And I just wanted to know about a day in the life of a journalist. What is that like? um What is that like for you, and how do you now kind of deal with overwhelm? Because I know that there's quite a lot of pressure in this kind of job, this kind of profession. So share a day in the life of a journalist and how you cope and deal with overwhelm.
Um, a day in the life of a journalist. When I'm working on a particular project that I've been commissioned to do, as
Yeah.
well as my own project,
Mm,
that will be segmenting my day of how to focus on my own stuff and then focus on the stuff that I've been commissioned to. So I have
yeah.
to kind of separate my day like that. And then when the news is going, if something
Mm,
breaking news is going, you have to be on top of it. So you have to understand what is going on. So you
yes.
have to be consuming the news, but you can't become the news, you know. You can't
Absolutely.
be you can't be what you're kind of studying and researching all the time. So you have to stay on top of things without becoming a part of the chaos. Because right
Yeah.
now there's so much chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you just have to be in a state of, okay, then that's going on there. Okay,
Yeah.
then at late in the evening, I'm going to watch out and see the update on that story. Okay, then tomorrow I may look at that again, but not
Mm,
constantly watching it. I
exactly.
actually took the notifications for news off my phone because it became a situation where I was always looking at what was going on.
Yeah.
Um, so I only look at it twice a day.
Mm,
And then after I've segmented my days, make sure that I always have a lunch. So there's always a time in between both of my projects that I have an hour to myself where I switch
good.
off.
Good.
Um, and then yeah, like it's a lot of Zoom phone calls, a lot of Microsoft Teams, a
Are
lot
you not
of
overwhelmed with Zoom?
Zoom
I
is
am totally zoomed out.
Zoom is it's
Oh God, it's another world entirely for some of us who had no clue
yes,
about remote working and using all these conferencing apps.
yeah. And it's
Yeah,
shocking how many of them there actually are. I didn't realize that there was so many.
absolutely. And you know
Um,
what the lockdown has actually done is actually allowed us to actually re-educate ourselves, because there is another world which is the online world that some of us are not really, we've never actually had the experience of it. And it's almost like some of us did not even know that HAP exists, and Zoom exists, Zoom conferencing app. Some of us didn't even realize that such things really existed, because we're so used to meeting people, connecting with people, networking, doing events, live events rather than online events. So I think the lockdown has actually taught us quite a lot of things in terms of upskilling our levels, and doing more training, and really making a difference and making an impact, and really growing our business as well. I mean, what sort of experiences have you had during this lockdown? How has it been for you? Being a journalist, and just for you in general, how has the lockdown been for you?
for me in general, I would say that the lockdown has been a very, it's been spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if I
Mm,
can dare say that.
mm-hmm. I
Um,
love that.
it's been a very spiritual journey for me. It's been figuring out, what my purpose was, um, where my purpose is, what road I'm going down, and
Mm,
um, being able to kind of take a step back from situations and assess
yes,
myself. I never got
absolutely.
the chance to do that because I was always going before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, and I think that it's kind of like clarified so many things for me.
Mm,
It's been a hard time as well. I'm
yeah.
not going to deny that it's been a hard time, but it's just been, I can only describe it as like a great shedding.
Yes.
Um, so it's just kind of been shedding all of the parts of myself that just weren't serving me,
Absolutely.
and all
Yes.
the things or situations that weren't serving me.
Mm,
Um, and I don't really um, I don't really think that I would have ever gone that deep within myself if this
mm,
lockdown didn't happen, because it forced
yeah.
everybody to do that. Um,
Absolutely. Yes. These are some
so
of the great benefits, I guess. You mentioned spirituality. I could definitely relate. I was more in tune with my spirituality over this lockdown, in terms of just being still and just listening and really
Mm,
finding myself, and offering the best version of myself, reinventing myself.
yeah.
And I could simply relate to what you're saying, and also self care, prioritizing your self care, looking after you, and really being authentic to yourself and being, finding time for you.
Mm,
Definitely, absolutely. And I know that you have this amazing podcast, and I really
yeah.
want to hear about it, and I want you to share that with us.
Yeah.
What is your podcast about?
So my podcast is an investigative journalism series,
Hmm.
which looks at the different issues that affect BME people in the UK.
Yeah.
So whether it's about COVID, which is something that I cover,
Yeah.
policing, um, racial trauma, mental health, and
Hmm.
regulations and policies that are in workplaces that are not really serving BME groups, the rates of unemployment,
Hmm.
um, just kind of like also kind of looking internally as well, again
Yeah.
touching on the spiritual side. um,
Absolutely.
and I've also been speaking to people that have been dealing with COVID-19 that are from BME groups that have
Yeah.
been dealing with it very well. um, there's been so much negative news about people that have had COVID. They've not
Yes.
really shown you BME people that have had COVID that are surviving and are living their
Mm,
lives. And I think that is very important that you see
absolutely.
the positive, that you can still go on with that.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I'm just kind of touching on these little nuances that the big mainstream media that are missing because they are following
Yes.
the big stories.
Mm.
um, there is people that are in our communities every day that need to talk about what they're going through,
Oh, yeah.
and that are key elements to what has happened this year. So yeah, that's what my investigate series is about. I'm
Yeah.
currently on episode 4. So
Fantastic.
episode 4 is about racial trauma, and um, how in the US racial trauma is now being looked into like as a form of PTSD.
Mm.
Um, and in the UK, we're still not at that point where we're willing to look at um, racism and the mental impact that that has, long-term mental impact that that has. Um,
Absolutely.
so again, that discussion was trying to fill that gap and talk about,
Mm.
okay, well, how is this affecting these groups, and how can they get over that internally? Like, how can they
Mm.
heal from that?
Yeah.
It's not about kind of looking at external people as a problem.
Hmm.
How can we heal ourselves? And that's my main um, ethos, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I really love the topics. I think it's very, very inspiring and very, very motivating. These are things that some of us are not really aware of, especially what you've mentioned about the kind of mental health in terms of the racism, which does affect many BME people. So, what sort of audience do you actually have that view your podcast?
Well, I've got a really good audience, a very
Mm,
mixed audience. So about 70% of them are from the UK.
yeah.
And then I've got 20% of them that are from the US.
Hmm.
And then the rest are from like Italy, Canada.
Right.
I've got people in Spain,
Mm,
Slovakia, listening to the podcast. So it's quite varied.
right.
Um, so it's great like that I managed to touch those kind of people, because I just
Hmm.
thought it would just be like, a
Mm,
UK type podcast, but it's gone beyond that, which is
fantastic.
great.
I
Um,
really, really love that.
yeah.
Absolutely. So when you had sort of an encounter with, some BME people who have actually experienced the COVID, are you able to share one or two positive stories with us?
Yeah, so what is great is on the 1st of December, I'm going to be launching my investigation on YouTube.
Okay.
It'll be another special, and that will be looking into long COVID. And I've been speaking to this girl called Monique, and she's an artist, she's an illustrator, and she's been like drawing her
Mm.
experience of COVID-19 from start till end, and has been posting
Incredible.
her drawings on Instagram.
That's
And
amazing.
she's so lovely, and she's been taking it in a stride. She's not been letting it beat her. She's talking to people every day, and
Right.
she's just like a very bright light in what seems like
Mm.
a very dark space.
Yes.
Um, and I had a really long conversation with her, and um, it's going to be like a short film type of thing on the
Yeah.
1st of December.
Hmm.
I'm going to be putting it on YouTube, and yeah, she's been dealing with it very well, and it did hit her like a ton of bricks, but it was more when I spoke to her, it felt like it was harder for her at the start because she got it when they weren't testing people, like right in March.
Wow.
So
The
a
early
lot of
stages. Mm.
yeah, so the doctors were doubting her whether she had it or not. And some doctors were saying that it could have been her anxiety rather than symptoms of the virus.
Mm.
Um, so she's fought very hard to get answers because she never got them at the start, and
Right.
she's been working with a lot of great people because of that. So, um,
Mm.
yeah, that's one really good story that I could say that was I was definitely happy to speak to about that.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I mean I love her creativity. She's actually drawing, you
Yeah,
know, the whole story, the whole journey. That is really powerful, and I really look forward to actually kind of following through her journey as well. So I will definitely get the YouTube link from you a bit later on, which is amazing. And I know that you love doing documentaries as well. Tell us about your passion for documentaries.
yeah,
Mhm.
documentaries. I didn't know that. I didn't even know that I wanted to do documentaries before. This was something that I discovered
Mm,
when I was in university.
right.
Um, I don't know what it is, but I just think like the
Mm,
power of visuals and research and music and
yes.
story and compiling this all into one project.
Mm,
And I love the process of it. I love the process of
fantastic.
making it and of
Yes.
finding people. Um, yeah, everything about it. I just love. Producing is something that I definitely fell in love with like after uni. It's not something
Mm,
that I knew I wanted to do before. So yeah, it's just the whole element of storytelling, which is something that I really like to do.
fantastic. And how can people actually get access to some of your documentaries that you've actually created?
So they can go on my website, which
Mm-hmm.
is
Yeah.
www.lisajournalldn.com,
Mm-hmm. I'll be
or
leaving
they
the in the comment section below. Yeah, correct.
amazing. And
Mm-hmm.
there is my you can go on my Facebook page, which is at Lisa Journalism.
Yeah.
You can also go on my Instagram, which is Lisa Hanley IG, and my YouTube page is hosted by Lisa, and that's where I put the kind of Scrutiny Hour specials on there, which is a
Right.
visual element to the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
um, and usually those are special interviews. So yeah.
Fantastic. That's brilliant. Could you tell us what challenges you've actually encountered, during your journey as a journalist?
Um, the challenges usually that I've faced have been personal. Um,
Right.
and it's kind of feeling like I wasn't good enough to be in this industry,
Mm,
or I wasn't smart enough.
yeah.
And um, that was just like, I don't know where that came from.
Yeah. I think a lot
um,
of us feel like that, to be quite honest. In terms of even starting a business, it's almost like you have this self-doubt, am I good enough? Am I able to lead? We all have self-doubts, self-sabotaging ourselves already before we even, get into that journey, already putting
yeah.
ourselves down. And I think it's really important as women that we believe in ourselves a bit more and
Mm,
encourage ourselves and also surround ourselves with positive people that could actually give us that positive energy and
mm,
also elevate us and encourage us that we can actually do it. And that's all we need. women, we don't really need much. We just need someone to be there standing behind you and say, I'm here, I could see you, an accountability partner. And these are the sort of things that I, like to do to help women to really believe in themselves and just overcome the self-doubt, the inner critic, and start doing rather than waiting and doubting, oh, can I not? I mean, when I started my podcast, I was a bit shy and I didn't have enough confidence. But look at me now.
Mm,
If I didn't start, perhaps we wouldn't have had an encounter. I would never have met Lisa,
mm.
right? But it's about starting and using what you have and just giving it a go. Because I always tell myself, what is the worst that can happen? What is that?
Yeah.
What is it? Just give it a go and just go for it. And I think, yes, we all have that in us. But look at you now, you are doing so well. Your podcast, your documentaries. I mean, I'm super, super proud of you, to be quite honest, Lisa. And
Oh, thank you.
yeah, I just admire, your strength and your motivation, and all that you've actually achieved, which is really amazing and is really commendable. So well done.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And so, for those who are watching us right now, I could see some of the amazing comments, great words of wisdom, great words of encouragement. You both look amazing. Thank you so much. This is really, really inspiring. Fantastic. So, there's been quite a lot of great positive comments there from our lovely viewers. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comment section below, and Lisa and I will be able to answer those questions for you. So, Lisa, so for anyone who's actually watching us right now and they want to get into journalism or into media, what advice would you actually give them?
Um, what advice would I give them if they want to get in?
Mm,
Just do it.
yes.
Um, just definitely do it. And if you have a passion for it, you'll do it for free. That's what I always say. If I'm willing to do it
Mm,
for free, then that's really my passion. If you want to get into it because you want to be on television, it's not the best thing to get into because it may be a
mm.
long road before you get in. And if you want to just do it just to kind of like be a public figure, you're not in
Yeah.
it for the right reasons. There is already enough journalists that are like that are
Mm,
already doing the job. We need people that are willing to kind of be vocal about things that are going on and
yes.
be very serious about um, speaking the truth in the face of,
Mm,
you know.
right.
Um,
Absolutely.
so yeah, I think that
Mm,
you would have to be serious about it and do your research on what different areas of journalism you can get into because there's so many different areas.
absolutely.
Um, And also, there's on LinkedIn, don't feel like scared to speak to people, speak to journalists that are already in the industry and just
Mm,
ask for advice because they
yeah.
will be open to talking to you.
Right.
I've met quite a lot of people via LinkedIn and spoke to a lot of professionals in the industry that have given me great advice just by reaching out and sending over
Mm,
a message. So yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions. Um,
absolutely.
and yeah, just be relentless.
Indeed. I was going to ask you about the qualities you need to be journalist. I think you've actually listed quite a lot there. Be relentless and just ask questions.
Mm,
Just go for it and just do it. And I think that is really just what you should do. So if you're watching right now and you want to be a journalist, Lisa's giving you some great tools there and some great advice in order for you to just go for it and just do it and just overcome any form of self doubt. Just go for it and just do it. Any lasting thoughts to our viewers that you may want to share with us before we go?
Um, last thoughts. I mean, I would say that it's a very difficult time right now,
Mm,
and you might kind of be going in and out of depression. You might be happy one minute or upset
mm,
another. Happy one minute, upset another. But times are changing, and be okay with times changing,
mm,
and just try and find yourself amongst the chaos and stick with who you are. Don't become a part of the
absolutely.
chaos. That's what I would
Indeed.
say.
That sounds amazing to me. Thank you so much. And I just want to say thank you to all our amazing viewers. Thank you for joining us on this wonderful special season 3 podcast with my lovely guest, Lisa. It's been amazing. We've learned great tips and strategies on how to become a journalist, be in the media, and also how to deal with certain mental health issues as well. So thank you so much. So Lisa, lastly, do you have any upcoming events coming up, or maybe your next podcast? When would that be released? Or maybe your next documentary? If you just want to share that with us, that would be really great.
Okay, so my documentaries are going to be coming out 2021. So
Great.
yeah, so that's in January.
Yeah.
But recent ones, on the 1st of December, I've got a Scrutiny Hour special on YouTube, which is going
Hmm.
to be an interview with Monique Jackson, who is a long
Okay.
COVID survivor.
Right.
And then I've also got a the fifth episode of the Scrutiny Hour coming out.
Hmm.
That should be coming out probably second week in December. And also this week, I'm going to be interviewing the director of the Independent Office of Police Conduct
Wow.
about policing, and that's a story that keeps coming back to me. So I'm
Yes.
just doing what
Mm,
God tells me to do, really.
that's
So yeah, I'm doing that this week, so that should be out next week on YouTube as
fantastic.
well.
Brilliant. So I really do look forward to actually catching up on all those amazing events you have coming up. And yes, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. I hope you really enjoyed this episode. And I will be coming back again with another special guest on another episode of Birth Your Vision podcast live. And I just want to invite you to our networking event, which is happening on Friday, which is the 27th this week. And we are going to be talking about how to reinvent yourself and also stand out and monetize your skills. Especially during this season, we all need to learn what it is that we can do to be able to remain financially stable. So join me on the 27th. I will be leaving the link for you to actually register on Eventbrite. So come along and come and learn on the live masterclass, and I'll be having a lovely co-host who will be also doing the masterclass with me. So to all our wonderful guests, to the amazing Lisa, it's been a pleasure having you here today.
Thank
And I
you.
want to wish you all a very, very great evening. Stay blessed, and I'll see you next week with another amazing guest. And I'm your host, Hannah Kupoli. Thank you so much all for watching. Take care.